I'm Adrian Seet, and this is Nightline. The headlines. MACC raids home of Tansri for probe into government vehicle fleet contract. And 3 men remanded in connection with a discovery of human skeletal in abandoned house. Thanks for joining us. The Malaysian Anti-Corruption Commission, MACC, has raided the residence of a businessman with the title Tansri for an investigation into allegations of corruption involving the procurement and management of the government's fleet of vehicles worth 4.5 billion ringgit. It was understood that the graft busters also raided 4 companies, including a government vehicle supplier, to obtain financial documents that can assist in the investigation. According to a source, MACC officers raided all these locations, including the Tansri's residence in Kuala Lumpur at 10 a.m. on Friday. It added that 3 more companies that were raided were entities involved in financial investments owned by the Tansri. Over 100 private accounts and companies under the company's control were also reportedly obtained by the MACC for further investigation. However, no account freezes were imposed. It was understood that the Tansri is the highest individual shareholder in the government vehicle supplier company. TV3 is currently obtaining further details and confirmation in relation to the probe. 3 men aged between 24 and 39 have been remanded following the discovery of skeletal remains in an abandoned house in Kampung Batu Tujuh, Tongkang Pecah in Batu Pahat, Johor on Friday afternoon. The discovery was believed to be connected to the disappearance of single mother Mira Sharmila Samsusa, also known as Bella, who was reported missing over a month ago. Batu Pahat Police Chief Assistant Commissioner Ismail Dollah said a remand order was issued against the 3 suspects until January 27th to facilitate police investigations into the case under Section 302 of the Penal Code. It was understood that the 3 suspects include Bella's boyfriend as well as his uncle. Ismail added that the post-mortem examination on the remains was carried out at the Forensic Department of Sultan Ismail Hospital in Johor Bahru on Saturday. Pathology samples had also been taken and sent to the chemistry department for DNA tests to determine the identity of the deceased. On Friday, Johor Police Chief Dato' Kamaruzzaman Mamat said samples have been taken from the location where the skeleton was found and DNA tests would be done as soon as possible. He further said that DNA samples were also taken from Bella's mother and sister for comparison. Authorities expect the DNA test results to be known within a week. Meanwhile, Bella's family has denied the initial reports by several media outlets that the tattered pieces of cloth found at the scene likely belonged to a woman who went missing on December the 14th last year. Her brother-in-law, Muhammad Fairu Zizan Yusa, stated that the family has not been asked to identify the case items, including the pieces of cloth found with the skeletal remains on Friday. Fairu Zizan, when contacted by TV3, said that his wife, Norisham, who is Bella's older sister, has not seen the pieces of cloth as mentioned in the media reports. He added that Norisham had misunderstood the initial information received regarding the discovery of the remains along with the pieces of cloth before she was quoted by the media on the matter. Previously, Norisham reported that her sister left the house at 11:40 p.m. with her boyfriend wearing a dark blue kaftan. Now, the residents of Kampung Batu Tujuh, Tongkang Pecah, said they were shocked by the discovery of the skeletal remains near the abandoned house and never suspected anything was amiss. This was because the abandoned house was located less than 100 meters from the main road of the area. According to the residents, the abandoned house, which is located at the end of the main road, has been unoccupied for several years.
Dulu rumah tu memang pernah disewakan, memang rumah sewa, tapi dalam 2 ke 3 tahun ni dah memang tak ada penyewa lah. Memang dah kosong rumah tu.
Dan bumbung pun tak ada.
Bumbung pun tak ada sebab macam bumbung-bumbung tu apa semua kita orang ada bagi dekat orang.
One of the residents also said he had set up a shop nearby but never noticed any foul smell emanating from the house.
Kita memang tak ada bau, tak ada fikir bukan tak ada lah cerita kan. Mungkin betul lah kot kan orang jadi hantu lah, biar je lah. Lepas tu dah tengah hari tu baru dapat tahu ada jumpa mayat. Memang terkejut juga lah. Ya memang tak sangka kan. Tiba-tiba.
A check on Sunday morning revealed that the area was bustling with activity as residents came to purchase fish and other perishable goods at the shop near the abandoned house. A number of vehicles were observed passing by the location before making a U-turn at the end of the road. The Yang di-Pertuan Agong Al-Sultan Abdullah Riyatuddin Al-Mustafa Billah Shah graced a royalty reception at Istana Negara on Saturday ahead of the completion of His Majesty's reign as the head of state. Also gracing the event was Raja Permaisuri Agong, Tunku Azizah Aminah Maimunah Iskandaria. The event, which began at 3 p.m, was attended by 2,500 guests, including cabinet ministers, members of parliament and heads of foreign missions. Amongst the distinguished guests present were Prime Minister Datuk Sri Anwar Ibrahim and wife Datuk Sri Dr. Wan Azizah Wan Ismail, Deputy Prime Minister Datuk Sri Ahmad Zahid Hamidi, Communications Minister Fahmi Fadzil and Dewan Rakyat Speaker Tansri Johari Abdul. Also in attendance were former Prime Ministers Tun Dr. Mahathir Mohamad, Tan Sri Muhyiddin Yassin and Datuk Sri Ismail Sabri Yaakob. During the event, guests were entertained by a musical orchestral performance by Yayasan Saad College from Malacca. The royal couple also spent almost an hour mingling and taking photos with guests at the event. Other events scheduled to take place in conjunction with the completion of His Majesty's reign include the state banquet next Saturday. Al-Sultan Abdullah will complete his term as the 16th Yang di-Pertuan Agong on January the 30th, and the Sultan of Johor, Sultan Ibrahim Sultan Iskandar, will begin his reign as the 17th Yang di-Pertuan Agong for a 5-year term, effective January 31st. The diversion of a ruptured pipe under Sungai Perai would require a temporary water cut to some 120,000 users on the Pulau Pinang island. Chief Minister Chow Kon Yao on Saturday said the water cuts will affect those in the Southwest District.
Tarikh itu kita akan, PBA akan bentangkan kepada Exco dan Exco akan memberi kelulusan tarikh yang dipilih. Kita akan memilih hari hujung minggu lah.
Bukan Raya Cina rasanya.
Sebelum Raya Cina.
According to Chow, work is underway to divert the pipe and have it run above the river temporarily, adding that it would only take 16 hours to complete the diversion. He also said the diversion work has started along the banks of Sungai Perai, which involves 2 pipes being stacked along the sides of the nearby Ampang Jaja Bridge, temporarily closing one of the 4 lanes on the bridge. The ruptured pipe supplies treated water from Butterworth to at least half of the island, but over the past 2 months, it had given way 3 times despite repairs being carried out. Chow added that following the completion of the diversion, the state will proceed to divert 3 other riverbed pipes along the same river. These pipes were originally laid out in a straight line from a water treatment plant in Butterworth, cutting through the winding Sungai Perai at 4 different points, one of which is where the work has started now. The Works Ministry KKR has approved an application amounting to 113 million ringgit to maintain roads and slopes in the states affected by floods during the northeast monsoon period. Its Minister Datuk Sri Alexander Nanta Linggi said the overall road maintenance involved 57.6 million ringgit in 81 locations and 55.4 million ringgit for slopes in 48 locations. Nanta said that the breakdown of the allocation involved 4 badly affected states, namely Johor with 30.17 million ringgit allocation, followed by Kelantan with 34 million ringgit, Terengganu with 11.3 million ringgit, and Pahang with 28.3 million ringgit, while the remaining sum involves several other states. He also said maintenance will be carried out as soon as possible, taking into account the current weather conditions. In addition, he said there are 4 road locations in Johor involving Jalan Kota Tinggi Mersing, which will be upgraded at a cost of 120 million ringgit. Deputy Prime Minister Datuk Sri Fadillah Yusof has remained mum on rumours that Tansri Wan Junaidi Tuanku Jaafar has resigned as the Dewan Negara President. Fadillah, who is also the Gabungan Parti Sarawak GPS Chief Whip, said a statement on the matter will be issued in due time.
Boleh ulas sedikit mengenai Tansri Wan Junaidi meletakkan jawatan sebagai Speaker.
Yang itu jangan dulu. Tunggu apa nanti saya apa. Itu belum lagi ya.
Fadillah said this to reporters after attending a briefing on the status of the Telibong Phase 2 water treatment plant in Tuaran, Sabah on Saturday. On Friday, media reports claimed that Wan Junaidi, who is a GPS chief, has resigned as Dewan Negara President to prepare for his appointment as the 8th Sarawak Governor, succeeding Tun Abdul Taib Mahmud. Wan Junaidi came out of retirement in June last year to assume the Dewan Negara President post, taking over from Tansri Rais Yatim, whose tenure ended on June the 16th the same year. In Selangor, 4 drug dens around Klang were raided simultaneously by police on Saturday morning. Bukit Aman CID Gambling, Secret Societies and Vice Prevention Assistant Director, Assistant Commissioner Muhammad Ridwan Manap, said 45 men aged between 25 and 75, including former civil servants, were arrested in the 10:30 a.m. operation.
Mereka ini kebanyakannya adalah penagih-penagih tega dan juga ada juga setengah mereka ini telah pun beberapa kali ditahan oleh pihak polis dan beberapa kali telah ditempatkan di pusat pemulihan dadah lah.
A total of 152 police officers and personnel took part in the 3-hour operation, which was targeted at Taman Sentosa, Pelabuhan Klang, Taman Eng An and Taman Bukit Kuda, involving places such as vacant lots and under bridges that are notoriously known locations for drug addicts. During the operation, some of the drug addicts tried to escape and even hid behind bushes, but failed as the locations were surrounded by police. At one of the drug dens, authorities also discovered a sign indicating the availability of drugs for sale, including heroin, shabu and ganja, along with their respective prices. All those detained were taken to the Klang Utara District Police Headquarters for further action and investigations under the Dangerous Drugs Act. The Immigration Department nabbed a total of 4,026 illegal immigrants in 870 enforcement operations throughout the country in the first 18 days of this year. Its Director General, Dato' Ruslin Juso, said during the same period, the department also inspected a total of 9,169 foreigners and deported over 1,400 illegal immigrants back to their respective countries, as well as arrested 42 employers for employing illegal immigrants.
Majikan yang terdiri daripada rakyat tempatan juga kita akan ambil tindakan kerana mereka juga boleh disiasat di bawah Akta Immigration dan juga Akta Anti Pemendagangan Orang dan Anti Penyudupan Migran 207 ataupun di bawah ATIPSOM.
Ruslin said this at a media conference after participating in a midnight raid at the Baiduri apartment Taman Tasik Kesuma Beranang, Semenyih on Saturday. According to him, the location was identified as one of the 220 hotspots for illegal immigrants flagged by the department. In the operation, 752 foreigners of various nationalities were inspected and 561, aged between 3 months and 55, were detained for overstaying and not having valid travel documents. Indonesian president denies ministers resigning. News from the foreign front when we return.
Extra Jaws dengan Royal Gel, ginseng Korea dan vitamin B kompleks.
Bersama kekal bertenaga. Jaws the Jaws.
Extra Jaws.
在路上图点什么呢？
我们的目标，太阳之泪。
10 pencuri bergabung.
Action! demi menyelesaikan satu misi. Dan satu agenda di sebaliknya. Menjayakan misi The Thieves. Jumaat ini 10 malam di TV3 Cinema dan stream sekarang melalui Tonton.
We're back with news from the foreign front. Deadly Israeli airstrikes continued to rain down on Gaza as the Zionist regime intensified its fighting in Khan Yunis and near the Nasser hospital. According to Gaza's health ministry, at least 165 Palestinians were killed by the Zionist regime in the last 24 hours, with 280 others left wounded, marking one of the biggest death tolls in a single day this year. Over the occupied West Bank, at least 22 Palestinians, including a woman and children, were arrested overnight by the Israeli forces. At least 24,972 people have been killed and 62,388 wounded in Israeli attacks on Gaza since October the 7th. Meanwhile, the Arab League is expected to hold an emergency meeting at the level of permanent delegates next week to discuss the developments of the ongoing war on Gaza. In a statement, Palestine's permanent representative to the League, Mohammad Akluk, said an extraordinary session will convene on Monday at its headquarters in Cairo. He also mentioned that the request was made by Palestine and was supported by many Arab countries. The session will also touch on the Zionist regime's crimes across the occupied West Bank and its systematic demolition of infrastructure in the Palestinian refugee camps in the West Bank. The Palestinian diplomat voiced hope that the meeting would result in political, legal, diplomatic and economic actions to confront the Israeli crimes, actions that can be done or supported within the League of Arab States and its member states. Indonesian President Joko Widodo has denied speculations that several of his cabinet ministers had resigned, including Finance Minister Sri Mulyani Indrawati. He said the cabinet is still performing its duties and there were no rumours of dissatisfaction with its administration. Now, Widodo, better known as Jokowi, said speculations were deliberately created in the middle of the political campaign season leading up to the general election on February the 14th. Institute for Development of Economics and Finance economic expert Faisal Basri had said last Saturday at a political and economic forum that 15 ministers from the technocratic circle and outside of the political parties are resigning. He feels that Jokowi is favouring the presidential and vice presidential candidates, Prabowo Subianto, Gibran Raka Buming Raka, who is also Jokowi's eldest son. The Indonesian people will go to the ballot to elect the next leader to replace Jokowi, who will be finishing his second and final term as president in October. U.S. Senator Tim Scott, once a rival to Donald Trump for the Republican presidential nomination, endorsed him at a New Hampshire rally on Friday night, dealing a blow to Trump's primary competitor, Nikki Haley. Now, Scott's endorsement comes just 4 days before the pivotal Republican nominating contest, where Trump is facing off another Haley, who initially appointed Scott to the U.S. Senate. Speaking before hundreds of cheering supporters in Concord, Scott listed several reasons why he said the country needed another Trump term, arguing he would lower taxes and unite the country. Trump briefly acknowledged the endorsement before criticizing Haley and Democratic President Joe Biden, whom he is likely to face in a general election rematch in November. Despite winning Vermont Governor Phil Scott's endorsement, Haley trails Trump by 14 points in New Hampshire, with Florida Governor Ron DeSantis in a distant third. South Korea held by Jordan. Action from the AFC Asian Cup after this breather.
Awak, kejap. Baru pukul 9 malam. Takkan dah nak tidur. Jomlah teman saya layan. #SoKampung 7 Januari. Kembalikan sinarnya 14 Januari. Tolong jaga dia pesat 21 Januari. Adik kakak 28 Januari. Dah layan semua telefilm ni, barulah boleh mimpi indah. Pastinya di Cerita Ahad TV3 dan stream sekarang melalui Tonton.
Inspirasi keluarga sukan lasak, bakat dan kemahiran diwarisi anak-anak.
Ayah dia dah ajar macam mana skill. So far daripada awal pelibatan mereka, tak pernah mengalami kecederaan yang sangat serius. Macam lebam-lebam sikit tu normal lah.
Bila saya hadap sesuatu cabaran, I'll take it as a lesson yang I rasa akan jadi lebih manis.
Our sports segment kicks off with football, the AFC Asian Cup. Now, Jordan was denied their first ever victory over South Korea as a late own goal from Yazan Al Arab gifted their opponents a 2-2 draw in their second Group E clash on Saturday. South Korea took the lead just 9 minutes into the game when Sun Hyun-min converted a penalty following Ihsan Haddad's foul on the Tottenham Hotspur forward. However, Jordan levelled the score in the 37th minute when Park Young-woo headed the ball into his own net from a corner. Yazan Al-Naimat made it 2-1 just before the interval when he unleashed a half volley from outside the box into the bottom corner. Now, South Korea upped their game in the second half, but it took 45 minutes before they finally found an equaliser when Hwang In-byom's shot was turned into the net by Al-Arab. The result leaves both teams on 4 points from 2 games. In Group C, pre-tournament favourites Iran secured their place in the last 16 by defeating Hong Kong 1-0 at the Khalifa International Stadium on Saturday. Mehdi Gayed scored the sole goal of the game in the 25th minute when he fired a shot into the far bottom corner. Iran dominated possession and had several opportunities to extend their lead but failed to convert their chances, and the score remained unchanged until the final whistle. The result moved Iran to 6 points at the top of the group, ensuring a top 2 finish. In Group D, Indonesia kept their hopes of qualifying for the second round of the competition alive with a surprise 1-0 victory over Vietnam on Friday. Asnawi Mangkualam Bahar secured his team's first win by converting a penalty in the 42nd minute, courtesy of a foul on Rafael Williams-Struijk inside the box. Vietnam tried to bounce back in the second half, but the men in red suffered more difficulties as Lee Pham Tham Long received a second yellow card and was sent off after a challenge in the final minutes. Although Vietnam sent Nguyen Philip into the opposition box in the dying seconds, the Indonesian defence stayed strong in clutch time and secured the 1-0 victory. The victory lifted Indonesia to third in the Group D table, while Vietnam was eliminated from the tournament. After this short breather, Perak to Gaza, ancient coral fossil site.
Sepuluh pencuri bergabung demi menyelesaikan satu misi dan satu agenda di sebaliknya. Percayakan misi The Thieves. Jumaat ini 10 malam di TV3 Cinema dan stream sekarang melalui Tonton.
Saya ingat lagi perkataan pertama yang disebut adalah oh my god. 3 kali dia cakap oh my god dia.
Sakit tekak walaupun masalah biasa ada kalanya membawa mudarat.
Puan dapat rasa tekak, panas, sakit lah.
Masalah tonsil boleh berlaku dalam kalangan dewasa maupun kanak-kanak.
Tonsil tu kalau kami tengok betul-betul, dia ada banyak macam lubang atau kawat.
Aduh, sakit tekak. Kupasannya dalam Hello Doktor, Ahad 5.30 petang di TV3 dan stream juga melalui Tonton.
Welcome back. The Perak government plans to gazette the 6.9-hectare site near Kampung Cangkat Tualang in Kampar, where the ancient coral fossils were discovered as another geosite in the state. State Communications Multimedia and NGO Committee Chairman Muhammad Azlan Helmi said the area has its own uniqueness that highlights the significant scientific, recreational, aesthetic and historical values. Muhammad Azlan Helmi said according to information and investigations conducted by researchers, the area possesses various invaluable treasures, making it the first geosite in the state to have coral fossils. He stated that control measures must be implemented by the state to preserve the record of the Earth's evolution, generating new knowledge for future generations, necessitating gazetting. He said an integrated effort must be mobilized involving Perak Department of Mineral and Geoscience, Kampar District and Land Office, as well as Kampung Cangkat Tualang community to realize this aspiration. Muhammad Azlan Helmi, who is also Tualang Sekah Assemblyman, stressed that the site can also be used for educational and research purposes and has great potential as a new tourist destination in Perak. He said, besides safeguarding the relevant area as a geological heritage, the move to gazette the area will provide an opportunity for local and foreigners to witness hundreds of millions of years old fossils on the site firsthand. The discovery made by researchers from the Perak Geotourism Association, or GeoNat, confirms that the area was once an open sea with an abundance of snail life attached to limestone rocks. These fossils are ancient marine creatures from the Paleozoic era and are estimated to be 300 million years old, predating the time of the dinosaurs. This just in, Prime Minister Datuk Sri Anwar Ibrahim on Saturday said investigating high-profile individuals for alleged corruption is a difficult task to carry out, but it is something that has to be done. As such, he found it odd that the government was being reprimanded for taking action against such individuals.
Dan bila kita nak ambil tindakan, dia marah. Ini Perdana Menteri ini kasar sangat nak ambil tindakan. Ini sebagi saya aneh. Sepatutnya you sokong, bukan senang tau. Mau siasat itu tuntun. Siasat ketua kampung senang. Siasat cikgu sekolah taman lagi senang. Tapi mau siasat orang kaya besar-besar yang curi duit, you ingat senang ke? Tak senang. Tapi oleh kerana kita mau jaga ini negeri.
During his speech at the National Pongal Festival 2024 event in Klang, Anwar added that the move was important to safeguard the taxpayers' money and not allow certain figures to take advantage and abuse their power. Recently, it was reported that the Malaysian Anti-Corruption Commission, MACC, is investigating several prominent figures, including Tun Daim Zainuddin, for alleged corruption and money laundering. The former finance minister, however, has denied the allegations and labelled the probe as a political witch hunt. As we wrap up Nightline this time around, let's take a look at the 4th Winter Youth Olympic Games that opened on Friday night, with a grand opening ceremony in South Korea's eastern Gangwon province. With that, I'm Adrian Seet. Thank you for tuning in and stay safe, Malaysia.